Have to.
Whoops. Okay.
Got it.
Hola.
Hola.
So we'll start this for all of them. Y muy buenos días. Espero que estén bien. I hope you guys are well. Today I want to make sure that we do lots and lots of practice with verbs and combining verbs with question words or not to make questions, how to make questions, how to ask a question. It's very, very important to know how to ask a question when you need information. So that's going to be one of our big focuses today. And we'll do a little bit with directions. Directions is kind of a tough thing to do in terms of group practice because, well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're not moving around very much. Number two, the other issue is that sadly, with getting directions, there are so many different words that somebody might use to give directions that it can become intimidating. So I want to start with the direction thing just a little bit. I hope that you guys watched this gentleman's video about how to ask directions with, was it 7 words? I think it's 7 words and 3 questions.
Yeah.
Right? See? Okay. Oddly, although his accent is not the absolute greatest, you know, it is the honest to God truth. When he shows that video of people, you're asking directions that they turn and do. That is exactly the first time I saw that. I said, yes, everyone does that. When you go there, absolutely everyone does that. So that's good to know because sometimes when we're asking a question, you know what, you feel stressed. When you're lost, you need to, you know, that stress factor totally kicks in. And, you know, you get the big brain fart and everything that you thought you were so carefully practicing leaves your brain. So sometimes it is really, really helpful to have a guide like that where, you know, if you totally blip out, hang on, changing my screen here. If you totally blip out, you can get by, right, with that skeletal bit of information, and asking directions is one of those because it's so stress oriented. It's a stressful situation. But the things you want to be able to ask are things like, ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? Where is something? Okay, ¿Dónde está? And we're going to look up some alternative things because people will express this different ways. ¿Dónde está? Where is something located? Because for how you feel or where you are, location, we always use that verb estar. So, ¿dónde está? And, you know, people will point. They absolutely will point in the direction. You know, the other thing he said was esa dirección, kind of repeating esa dirección, that direction, the way they point, have them verify it, right? They'll go, sí, 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 bien, okay. And the last question is cuántos, well, okay, perdón, ¿en qué dirección?
Don't worry about anything they say that you don't understand.
And
just ignore it all.
It's
time for question number 2.
Esa dirección, that direction, and you point again the way they said, and you know, they verify it, and then you're looking at cuántos minutos,
It'd be nice to know how far you need to go. Are we talking 2 minutes, 15 minutes?
How many minutes walking? And I'll tell you just a quick tidbit on why that's
a half hour. Question number 3 is, ¿cuántos minutos andando?
¿Cuántos minutos andando? How many minutes walking? And a different verb for andando, which means walking, that A-N-D-O at the end of andando is literally the translation of our word ing, or our verb ending, ing. Okay. Another verb that means the same thing as andando is caminando, from caminar. Caminando. ¿Cuántos minutos caminando? How many minutes walking? It means the same thing as cuántos minutos andando. The reason that's important is that when you're in Spain, when you're in a lot of foreign countries, people walk a lot more than they do here in the States. They walk a lot more. So especially if you're in a city that has a large downtown area, it is super, super common for people to get most of the places they want to go walking on foot. So, you know, they'll let you know, ¿cuántos minutos andando? They'll give you a number with minutos, yeah? And that is just the normal progression of, you know, a really good 3-question kind of drill. So that is a great video to keep in your hip pocket and kind of review it once or twice to make sure you've got that. Okay. Bien. Let's take a look at some other things, because there are other things, and we're going to do a quick review here as well. Esto también. Sadly, a lot of the problem with asking for directions is that there are so many ways people may respond. There are so many different terms that might mean the same thing, but because of just how the person feels or the region you're in, they may use one verb for turn versus a different verb for turn. And if you look up a ton of, you know, if you went to YouTube and like stuck in the question box, Spanish giving directions, you watch 3 or 4 different videos, they'll highlight different vocabulary. It's just the way it is. So why do they do that? Well, we might say in English, turn right, hang a right, take a right, go right. We use a lot of different terms too. So we're guilty of this as well. All right. But just so that you've got extra vocabulary, the key question, besides donde está, where is a place, you can also ask, ¿cómo llego a? ¿Cómo llego a? Llego is from llegar, to arrive, or we would say in English, get to a place. Llego is the yo form. So, ¿cómo llego a? How do I get to? Literally, how do I arrive at? This is also a common way to ask a question about how to get to a place. You can ask about the place. ¿Dónde está la farmacia? Where is the pharmacy? ¿Dónde está el hotel Hilton? Where's Hilton Hotel? ¿Dónde está la playa? Where is the beach, right? But if you need walking directions, you may also ask that question as ¿Cómo llego a? How do I get to a place? Okay. That turn word is a stinker. We're going to take a look at a couple of things, but certain things are standard and will not vary. So when people are giving you directions for turning left or turning right, those are standard words, that the right and left direction thing, okay? Or the number of blocks, that'll be very standard, unlike the term turn, all right? The left and right terms are always the same. The words for blocks are pretty much the same. There's one word for block in Spain, but Latin America will use all one type of word. Okay. Another thing to know about directions, a lot of people in the US do a lot of this, head north, head south. How often do you know? I'm sorry. I'm not real good with the north, south, east, west, unless I've got like the mountains around here to orient me, or the sun is setting or the sun is rising. I'm not real good with the whole north, south, east, west thing. People don't tell you to go south or go north. So sure, you could know norte, north, sur, south, este, east, oeste, west, but people won't use that for giving directions. So yeah, you can wipe that out. But okay, some different ways to ask some of this information. ¿Dónde hay? If you're not too particular, meaning you don't care which pharmacy, you don't care which grocery store, where is this type of place? Donde hay. Remember, hay always talks about existence. Donde hay una farmacia. Donde hay una tienda de ropa. Where is a clothing store? ¿Sí? Donde hay un supermercado. Where is there a supermarket? So you need this interrogative word, the donde, right? But if you're just asking for a place and you don't care what kind of grocery market it is, or it doesn't have to be a particular hotel because you don't have a reservation, you're just going to hop into whatever hotel, see if they have a vacancy, donde hay works. But if you need a specific place, like Hilton Hotel, like the art museum, something more specific, then donde está is better. Donde está, and name the place. Donde está el Museo de Arte. Donde está la plaza. Where is the plaza, the center square, the town square, right? Here is another verb that a lot of books don't tell you about, but people will throw out. Instead of está, a word that we can use as a synonym, a word that means the same thing, is a different verb, not está, but queda. Queda. Queda literally means remains or stays in a place. But a lot of people, when giving directions or asking directions, use queda as an equivalent for está. So you'll get a response like this. ¿Dónde está el Museo de Arte Moderna? Where is the Modern Art Museum? Queda muy cerca. Queda muy cerca. It remains very close, right? Está cerca, it's close, or queda cerca, it's close. Okay, so queda will be thrown out there just like está. Another good verb for you to know, to be able to use, is busco. If you don't use it as a question, I'm looking for. I'm looking for, and you name the place. And busco is the yo form for buscar, to look for. Busco, por ejemplo, busco la catedral. I'm looking for the cathedral. Busco el correo. I'm looking for the post office. Así. Busco el metro. I'm looking for the subway. Okay, so busco is another super useful verb along with this como llego a, right? How do I arrive at? Okay, and never be afraid of things like habla más despacio, por favor. Speak more slowly, please, or repita, por favor. And actually, I'm going to put this into hable, the formal command. Hable más despacio, por favor. Speak more slowly, please, or repita, por favor. Okay, so these are all little extra vocabulary words that will help you. lot of different ways that people may use to express this idea of go when they give you the directions. Go might be phrased as va or vas, you go. It might be given as a command, vaya, go, vaya, okay? Or vayan if you're in a plural group, okay? If somebody tells you to keep going, they'll use this verb, sigue or siga, or sigan if it's plural. That means keep going or continue. Can also mean follow. But real common thing people will say is siga recto, keep going straight. Okay. Even with the word straight, there are two different ways to say straight, and actually I guess three if you want to get really technical. Or somebody might say continue, literally continua, continue, continuen. So these are all words you may hear, variations when people tell you to go. But this siga word is actually very, very commonly used. This is just the familiar, the tu form. This is the formal usted form, siga, okay? But here are some things that you can count on for straight. It'll be one of these two terms. Derecho with an O at the end, and there's a reason that's in bold, okay? Derecho means straight, as in the direction, straight, head on. They may throw the word todo in front of it. They may not. Todo means all. Continue, all ahead. Well, in English, we might say something like, hey, dead ahead, or straight on, straight ahead, straight that way. Yeah, okay. But siga derecho, siga todo derecho. Another word for straight, meaning keep going in that same direction, is not derecho, but recto. Recto.
Recto.
Siga recto. Keep going straight. Again, they may throw in the term todo. They may, because they feel like it. The todo just makes it kind of emphatic. Okay, if you translate it real literally, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Siga todo recto. Siga todo recto. Okay, yeah. So those two words will be used for straight, right? Here are all different ways people may use to say turn. It may be expressed as gira or gire or giren. Those are a tu form, an usted form, and ustedes form. Because if you're with a partner traveling, they'll be talking to more than one of you, and you'll hear that verb with an N, at the end. And that means you guys, yeah? Gira, gire, giren. Turn. You may hear it as dobla, doble, doblen. Turn. You may hear it as da vuelta, de vuelta, den vuelta. The reason you've got three is you've got a tu form, an usted form, and ustedes form, yeah? Da vuelta is kind of like hang a turn, you know, or take a turn. So all of those you may hear. We're going to listen to one other little video that will help us a little bit here. And here are the two terms that will not vary, that don't have a synonym. Those instructions for right or left, okay? Right is always a la derecha.
A la derecha.
A la derecha.
A la derecha.
Derecha with an a at the end is right. But oddly, derecho with an o at the end means
straight.
Astray.
Great. Why is that? I cannot tell you why. It just is. So, a la derecha is to the right,
Right.
okay, or on the right. And here's a tough one to pronounce, but you'll recognize it when you hear it. A la izquierda.
Izquierda.
A
Izquierda.
la izquierda. And I break
Yeah.
down izquierda.
Izquierda.
Izquierda. Izquierda.
Izquierda.
Izquierda. Left. To the left. A la izquierda. A la izquierda. A la derecha. Bien. One more helpful verb. People will tell you to cross the street. If they tell you to cross, these are the three forms for tú, for usted, for ustedes, to say cross. And it looks a little like cross. It's a Latin thing. It's cruza, or the formal command, cruce, or crucen. Okay. So an important thing to know about these directions is nobody going to be asking you for directions when you travel. Okay. You're
Right.
going to be the one asking. So you want to use these vocabulary words as a point of reference that when you hear them, you know what they're communicating. Okay. You don't need to pick which word for turn should I use. You're just listening for something that
Right.
sounds like gira, or sounds like dobla, or sounds like da vuelta. You're listening to interpret what they're telling you.
Yeah.
Interpret the directions. Bien? Okay.
Yeah.
Bien. Bueno. Okay. And a few things more, and then we'll do a little sample video, because really one of the best things you can do is just listen to a lot of videos that give directions so that you get used to what am I listening for, okay? Because you want to be able to ask the question, ¿Dónde está? Or ¿Dónde hay? Or ¿Dónde queda? Or ¿Dónde está? Where is it? Right? But when they're giving you information back, you want to absorb and be able to apply. Oh, this direction, that direction, this direction, and how many blocks. So here are a few more things that people may use, because they're going to be very landmark oriented when they give you directions. Okay. Besides the pointing thing, which they absolutely do. You may want to, they may use the word on the corner, la esquina. La esquina es corner. That doesn't mean the inside corner of a house. It means an outside corner. Okay. Bien. Semáforo. They may tell you to go 3 lights down. Semáforo is a traffic light. Semáforo. Not a light to like, not a lamp light, you know, or a street light, but a traffic light. Semáforo. Okay. Next to, al lado de, see, al lado de, literally to the side of, or junto a. They're telling you something is next to. Here's a really, really crucial one. I'll even underline this one. It's important. Cuadra, la cuadra. La cuadra. There's the word for city block they'll use in Latin America. See? Está a 2 cuadras. It's 2 blocks down. Siga todo recto 2 cuadras. Go straight 2 blocks. Okay. Cuadra, muy importante. That's an important vocab word, because people will tell you how many blocks where they won't tell you north, south, east, or west. Okay. They may also give you real general things like está lejos, it's far, meaning they may not be so sure that you want to walk it. You may need to find a cab. Or está cerca. Está cerca, it's nearby. That's the cuántos minutos andando. How many minutes walking, yeah? Está muy cerca. It's very close. Cerca is always a heartening word. Cerca, está cerca. It's nearby. Okay. And then we want to get familiar with words like la calle. See, la calle may be followed by the name of the street. La calle 8, 8th Street. Okay. You may also get words like la avenida. Avenida is an avenue, okay? But la calle, la avenida, those are commonly used vocabulary words for directions, okay? And some placement kind of words. For in front of or facing, you may hear enfrente. Enfrente es como inglés in front, no? Enfrente de, in front of, because that little word de there means of. Delante de also means in front of. Frente a, front of as in like facing, okay? It's, you know, a building is facing another building. Detrás de, behind. Detrás de, behind. And sometimes if something is in between, it'll be entre. Entre is in between. Okay, bien. And it's a lot of vocabulary. You're not going to absorb it all, absolutely. But you know, con cuidado, you know, with time, it will come. The more you listen. So we're going to check out a directions video so you can absorb some of the information. Oui, ¿dónde está mi enlace? Mi enlace, ¿dónde está? Aquí está, here it is. And you will be able to relate to this. But again, the more you hear these, the easier it will become. Oh, momento. Vale. The best thing you can do is listen to lots of videos. Okay, aquí tenemos Maria. Here we have Maria, and she's going to give us some more. She's from Colombia, so a lot of the words she's going to use will be words you will hear, of course, in Colombia, but in lots of parts of Latin America. Bien.
So, you are lost on your way to your hostel in a Spanish-speaking country. Do you know how to ask for directions in Spanish? Disculpe, ¿dónde está el Hostal del Sol? El hostal. Ay, muy fácil.
Muy fácil, very easy. Oh, perdón.
Mira, siga derecho 2 cuadras.
Siga derecho 2 cuadras. And this is how you usually, yeah, that's how you're going to feel listening to this. But siga derecho 2 cuadras. Go straight 2 blocks.
2 blocks.
Siga derecho. Yeah, you want to be able to absorb that. So I'm going to replay that just a bit.
Fácil. Mira, siga derecho 2 cuadras. En la esquina, gira a la derecha. Luego, sigues derecho 1 cuadra y giras a la izquierda. Y ahí está el hostal. ¿Entendiste?
Did you get it?
Sí. Gracias.
Yeah, and that's
Bueno,
usually.
chao.
Okay, that's not as easy as the points and the directions, right? But you will typically get a slew of information like that. So what you want to do is listen to some directional videos. And I'm going to give you a couple more to listen to again next week, because if you listen to it only 1 week and then you go away from it, it won't sink in. You have to listen to lots and lots of input. And
do you understand
examples.
those directions? Well, first thing you need to know is how to ask where something is. The word in Spanish for that is ¿dónde está? It's actually 2 words, and it means where is. Some of the directions you heard were siga derecho, or go straight. And also you heard en la esquina, which is on the corner. Did you hear gire a la derecha? Gire a la derecha means turn right. And guess what gire a la izquierda means? Gire a la izquierda means turn left. You also heard a word, cuadra. Cuadra means block. So it could be una cuadra, 1 block, or 4 cuadras, 4 blocks. Disculpe, ¿dónde está la biblioteca? La biblioteca está al frente de la farmacia, al lado de la escuela, detrás del restaurante, entre la escuela y el parque. So, what about those directions? Did you understand them? She is basically telling you in front of, al frente de. She is also telling you al lado de, next to. You also heard detrás de, that's behind. You also heard entre, that's between. So let's take a look at what we learned today. Today we learned some directions like siga derecho or go straight. Remember, siga derecho, siga derecho. We also learned gire a la izquierda, turn left. Gire, which means turn, a la izquierda, left. Gire a la izquierda. You also heard gire a la derecha, turn right. Gire a la derecha. You also heard an expression, en la esquina. En la esquina. That means on the corner. And you also heard cuadra. That means block. Cuadra. Do you remember those other expressions? They are actually called prepositions and they tell you where things are. So you heard al frente de.
So these prepositions tell you location of something, yeah, where it is relative to something else, yeah.
Al
Al frente de or enfrente de. It might be enfrente de.
Behind, detrás, al lado de, next to, al lado de. And finally, you also heard entre, which means between. Entre. Well, that's it for today's lesson.
Okay. She does another video that I am going to send you as part of the homework where she and her husband do kind of a role play. And it's the sort of typical thing of, you know, you have an address written down and he's going to ask how to get to an address. So I'm going to look up the link for that video and send that, because the more input you get, that is listening to specific situations that use that vocabulary, the more you hear people using it, the better you'll be able to interpret that information when you hear it, right? You don't need to give directions. You need to understand where to go when they give them to you. And next week, we'll follow up a little bit. I'm going to send you a little, that set of vocabulary with a couple little map things. And once you've heard more directions, we'll play a little bit, maybe just for 10 minutes, play around with finding some things on the map or telling how to get from one location to another. You'll see what it looks like after that set of vocabulary words. Bien. Bueno, van a tener un mapa. You guys are going to have an actual map that you can kind of play around with and think about and locate things with. But it'll take some time for you to think about that. Okay, bien. Bueno, and already you heard one of our interrogative words, right? Donde. And cuántos, actually, second one, cuántos, how many?
Right.
Okay, bien. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question? Because, you know, typically that kind of information comes at you pretty fast. And I really prefer that, like, I'll give you there, it's probably going to be like one little shorty TikTok length video, meaning super short, that's going to just give those directions, and then another one where it'll be the role play. So the more you hear those examples, the more it'll start to sink in and you can start to interpret that a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Bueno. Before we go off into our our question asking spree here because we're going to be combining verbs with interrogative questions and learning how to ask things. I want to see if I want to hear from you guys if you were able to understand most of this lady's little thing on makeup. Could you hear the verbs? Or was that hard to understand? Was it hard? Difícil? Hard? See?
Sí.
See? Okay. Do you want me to do a quick walkthrough with you on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Sí.
Bien. Bien, bien, bien. Okay. And now, when you listen to these videos and really listening to these is one of the best things you can do. Always look in the bottom for a CC box. And at the stage that you're at, to click that CC, which gives you subtitles, is an excellent thing to do. Okay. I would suggest you not slow it down. You have an option with YouTube to slow down a video. I would suggest not because it sounds like this, but also because I am going to give you videos where they will actually speak. Believe it or not, she is speaking at an extremely slow pace, extremely slow. Okay. So for you, it is natural that it will not feel that slow, but it is a slow pace. But if you listen to that and you turn on the subtitles, here's how you approach hearing videos. Here's how many times, probably minimum, you need to hear a video.
Okay.
And you want to be able to listen to the video and absorb maybe 60 to 70%. To understand 60 to 70% of the context.
Okay.
Not to understand it all, because that won't be realistic. But it is realistic to say, I get the general idea. And sometimes I need to give you a word bank, which I did, right? And there'll be little words here and there that if you miss it, it's an NBD, a no big deal. So because this is only 5 minutes, we'll listen to some of it. And I want you to, I'll stop when or I'll maybe say it along with her as she gets to some verbs. So the purpose of this was getting through some verbs. You listen to the video the first time and just let it wash over you with all of its overwhelmingness. Just go for the general idea. What is she? She's talking about makeup, and part of that you're going to get from the visuals. Yeah, that's about it. The second time, you maybe want to start to, in this case, because I pointed them out, listen for some yo verbs. Listen for some nosotros, we verbs. So we're listening for verbs that end in o. We're listening for verbs that end in mos, okay? She's going to say, I do this or we do this. And when she uses we, she means we ladies. All of us in a super general sense. Okay? So let's check this out.
Mi nombre es Agustina, soy de Argentina.
Soy de Argentina, I'm from Argentina.
Vamos a hacer un maquillaje simple.
Okay, and you're also going to hear voy a, I'm going to. Vamos a, we're going to. Vamos a hacer un maquillaje, we're going to do a makeup routine.
Okay.
Maquillaje is just makeup, the noun that means makeup. We're going to do makeup. Hacer means to do. Vamos a hacer, we're going to do. You hear a mos. When you hear a mos, that's a signal. Oh, we're doing something. And here it's vamos. We're going to do makeup. Vamos a hacer maquillaje. Simple. Simple. Empecemos. Let's start. A mos, it's a we thing. Empezar means to begin. Empecemos means let's begin.
Necesitamos.
Oh, necesitamos. It's a mos.
Yeah.
We
need.
Yeah.
And she's going to give you a word. You know what? This is an NBD, a no big deal. There are probably different words in different countries for this thing, but she's showing you what it is.
Una vincha.
Una vincha. Vincha is a, she's going to put this around her head. It's a
Band.
headband.
Yeah.
Vincha is not like the biggest thing on this video. We want to be listening for the verbs. Hear the most verbs, hear the yo verbs. Here, voy a, I'm going to, saying what I am going to do, or vamos a, what we are going to do. Okay.
Vincha. Para no tener pelo en la cara.
Ah, para no tener pelo
Hair.
en la cara.
In the face.
Yeah, para
Yeah.
no tener, in order not to have. Yeah, we need a headband not to have hair in your face.
Para no-
En la cara. And we're going to hear a mos. A mos. Poner means to put. So ponemos is going to mean we put.
We put.
Ponemos
We put.
la vincha.
We put the
Y
headband.
ahora no tenemos pelo en la cara.
Ah, no
Okay,
tenemos a mos. No tenemos pelo en la cara. We don't have
In our face.
hair in your
Yeah.
face. Okay.
Voy a usar
Voy a usar. I'm going to. Near future. Voy a usar crema. I'm going to use
Right.
cream
Okay. Okay.
la crema en la cara.
en la cara, on your
Un
face.
poquito de crema.
Un poquito. Poquito just means a little bit.
Little
This
bit.
word poquito is super helpful. It might be also the word which means almost the same thing as poco.
Mhm.
Poco means a little bit. Okay.
Mm.
Not a small size. Pequeño is small in size, but poco is a little bit, a small amount. And poquito makes poco even smaller. So poquito is like saying a teeny tiny bit.
Mhm.
But you might hear it as poco, a little bit, or poquito, a really little bit. Un poquito de crema, a little bit of cream.
Y la ponemos en toda la cara.
Y la ponemos en toda la cara. The la means it. La ponemos, they say it, we put. They don't say we put it. They say it. The word order in Spanish is it, we put. La is talking about crema. Okay? La just means it. La ponemos. We put it en
Right.
toda la cara. On
Whole
your
face.
The
whole
whole.
All face.
face. Yeah.
No.
Toda or todo masculine or toda feminine means all or the whole thing en toda la cara, on your whole face.
Perfecto. Ahora usamos corrector.
Ah, usamos, we're doing something, we're using
Using corrector.
corrector. Okay, so yeah, you know, is corrector a big deal? Is that like a survival word for you? Of course not. So let that cross out. You can see what it is, yeah?
Corrector. Lo ponemos en
Ah, lo ponemos. What are we doing? We know it's
Putting.
we're putting.
Putting.
And she's saying it, we're putting. Corrector. Lo just stands in for corrector. Lo just means it.
Ponemos.
It, we're putting.
las ojeras.
En las ojeras. Oh, ojeras.
Eyes.
Eyes. Okay.
It's related to ojos. Ojo, sí es esto, but ojeras.
Under eye.
Under eye.
Under
Okay.
eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. If somebody says, tengo, I have. Tengo ojeras. Oh, I got
Under eyes.
under my eyes.
No.
Yeah. And
Wow.
where do
Okay.
you put corrector? Oh, it's a highlighter kind of thing to lighten that, right? En las ojeras. And not in your eyeball, under your eye. Ojeras.
Abajo del ojo.
Abajo, and abajo is right? Ojo, abajo, abajo. It's
Above and below.
above and below. She's going to talk about above and below.
Oh, okay.
Abajo. You had bajo as short. Abajo is underneath. Bien.
Okay.
En la
Abajo del ojo.
nariz.
Under the. Oh, en
Y
la
un
nariz
poquito en la frente.
y en la frente.
Ahora,
This
con el
frente can mean front. Frente can also mean this part of
Forehead.
your face.
Or
Your
forehead.
forehead. Yeah, see. And now she's going to say with her finger, con el dedo.
dedo lo difumino.
Lo
aplicamos.
difumino. Okay, and that shouldn't have an accent mark. That's a mistake with YouTube. But difuminar is to blend. So if I have it in an O ending form, it means yo doing it. Lo difumino. I blend it. I smooth it out. Okay? It's a yo verb form. And now she's got a mos verb form. Lo aplicamos is going to mean we
Apply.
apply it. Aplicar is like, it's a cognate. It means what you kind of guess it might mean. Apply, aplicar.
Con el dedo. Muy bien. Ahora usamos contorno. Contorno.
Contorno,
Muy,
contour. Okay.
muy
Oh.
poquito.
Muy
Y lo ponemos
poquito.
Very, very low.
abajo del pómulo. Abajo del pómulo.
Abajo. So
Ponemos muy, muy
underneath, right? Ponemos.
Así.
We put it
poco. Del
underneath.
otro lado.
El
Y
otro lado,
ponemos
other
un
side.
poco arriba.
And just like abajo is underneath, arriba is moving this
Above.
direction.
Up.
Above,
Above.
yeah, above.
De la frente. Arriba.
Arriba de la frente, above the
Above.
forehead. Okay.
De la frente. Ahora, con un dedo lo voy a difuminar.
I'm going to. Difuminar is
Blend.
doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to blend it, spread
Okay.
it in. Voy a, and notice the second verb doesn't get conjugated. It tells what I'm going to do. The voy says I'm going to, and the second verb difuminar, blend, spread it out. It tells what you're going to do.
Lo aplicamos con
Oh, lo aplicamos. It's a mos. It means we're
We.
applying. And she
Applying.
says, it we're applying, because that's the word order they use. It we're applying. Lo aplicamos
el dedo.
con el dedo.
Voy a poner
Voy a poner. Poner is to put. So, voy a. I'm going
To put.
to put.
poco más.
Un poco más, a little more.
Ah.
Más is more.
More.
Un poco más. Bien.
La nariz.
En la nariz.
Muy poco.
On the nose.
Ahora
No.
uso un
Uso. It's a yo form.
Oh.
I use, and you'll notice she's using very limited number of verbs. Aplico, aplicamos, ponemos, right? Usamos, or so she's slipping between yo and nosotros verbs. Yo and nosotros verbs. And pincel is a brush. Pincel is a brush. It's what she's holding up. Un pincel.
pincel.
I use a brush.
Un pincel para difuminar
To blend.
en la nariz. Ahora
On the nose.
uso polvo,
Polvo, powder.
contorno en polvo, y pongo un poco en el
And pongo is an odd form. It's an irregular. Poner means to put. Poner doesn't have a G in it, but the yo form only gets a G. It's an odd one. So to say yo, yeah, poner, you would think it would be pono for I put, but it's pongo. Pongo. Think of ping pong. Pongo. Pongo means I put. So when she's using poner means to put, pongo is I'm putting. I put a little bit and she'll tell you where. Pongo, I'm
El
putting.
ojo.
Pongo.
I'm putting a little in my,
Con
on
el
my
pincel
eye.
pongo un poco
I'm putting a little
en el otro ojo.
on the other
Ahora
eye.
uso lápiz de
Uso lápiz delineado. Oh, she's using an eyeliner. Lápiz is a pencil. So a pencil
Yeah.
liner, lápiz delineador. Lápiz delineador is not an important vocabulary word for you. We're listening for the verbs she's using to tell who's doing it.
lápiz delineador. Voy a poner en
Voy a poner, I'm
Voy a
going
poner.
to put. Voy a poner, I'm going to put. Voy a, I'm going to. The second verb tells what I'm going to do, right?
el ojo muy cerca
Ooh,
de
cerca,
las
close
pestañas.
to the
Cerca,
eyelashes.
no lejos, cerca
Not
de
far
las
from my
pestañas.
lashes, close to
Lápiz
my lashes.
delineador. Ahora uso
Uso, your verb, I use.
máscara
I use,
de
yeah.
pestañas. Máscara de pestañas en las pestañas de arriba y de abajo.
Mhm.
Above and below. She's
Above and below.
Mascara,
Okay.
mascara.
Ahora voy a usar rubor.
Voy a usar, I'm going to
To
use. And rubor is what she has in her hand. Rubor is a
blush.
blush.
Mhm.
El rubor va en las mejillas.
It goes on your
Voy a
cheeks.
poner
Mejillas.
punto de rubor.
Voy a poner un punto. I'm going to put a point, a dot. Voy a poner, I'm going to put.
En las mejillas.
A dot of
Y
blush.
de nuevo con
De nuevo
un
just means again. Okay, it's one way to say again. De nuevo, anew, literally.
dedo lo difumino.
No, I blended. Okay.
Ahora con una esponja,
Now with a
una
sponge.
esponja, voy a difuminar toda la cara.
I'm gonna blend. Voy a blend. Voy a difuminar. Voy a difuminar toda la cara. The whole
Full face.
face.
Full face.
Todo el maquillaje
All
en
the
mi
makeup
cara, con una
on my
esponja.
face with a sponge.
Ahora uso manteca de cacao.
Manteca de
de
cacao
cacao
is a lip
en mi
balm. Okay, not a lipstick. A manteca is literally like an oil, a grease, yeah. But balm is has fats and things in it that make it smooth, right?
mis labios.
Lip balm on my lips.
Mm.
Perfecto. Por último, uso un fijador, una spray. Fijador.
Spray, yeah. And you'll hear people use spray sometimes. They're kind of borrowing from the English. That's a common thing with makeup and other things, especially for the young people. The fijador means a fixing spray. Is this a make or break it? No, it isn't.
Para fijar, sí,
To fix
mantener todo el
and
maquillaje
maintain
en la
all the
cara.
makeup
Okay.
on my face. So it doesn't
Perfecto.
kind of
Ahora
melt off,
podemos
right?
sacar
Podemos sacar, we can take off.
la vincha.
And take off the headband.
Excelente. Bueno, gracias por ver el
Okay, so when you listen to that again, listen to it one more time this week and listen for the most. She's really limited, and for the yo verbs and for the we verbs. That's all I really wanted you to get. But for you to get to understand 60 or 70% of that is good. Literally, it is good because it takes time to get used to that. And for you to just get the basic idea is good. But notice she used a fair number of these terms, not just the yo verbs, not just the most verbs, but she used a lot of these. Voy a, I'm going to. And ir, besides literally, physically going, moving your body to a place, it is also used to say somebody is going to, meaning they're not doing it now, but they will be pretty soon. It talks about the near future. And to do that, it's super, super easy. We use a form of ir, and who we talk about is who is going to do it. Voy, I'm going to. Vas, you're going to. Va, for he's going to. Va, for she's going to. Va, for you formal is going to. Vamos, for we're going to. Van, for they're going to, or you guys are going to. One of those forms, that's going to tell who is going to. Okay. And after we do that, we need the little word a. That's why it's in yellow. And then we have a second verb. But that second verb doesn't go into the yo form, doesn't go into a we form, a nosotros form. It stays as the infinitive. We do the same thing in English. I'm going to eat. To eat is the infinitive. Right? We don't say I'm going, I eat. So it's not voy a como. That doesn't make sense. Voy a comer, right? The second verb tells what it is you're going to do. And that stays in the basic AR or ER or IR infinitive format. Voy a comer, vamos a escuchar, van a tomar un taxi, mi amigo va a pagar. Okay, so ir a. So you were listening for yo verbs, for nosotros, we verbs, for a form of somebody is going to. And there she used either voy a or vamos a. Okay, so that kind of tied together a few things for you. So you might want to listen to that again. Okay. Bueno. A ver. Bien, bien. We're going to take a look at questions now. We're going to shift gears. Questions are super important. We always need to be able to ask questions because we need to get information. Okay. And I'm going to show you a shortened form of this video, a shortened form, because we need to think about not just the interrogatives, but other ways we might ask questions. Depends on what kind of information you need. I'll send you the link to this full video, but there are basically 3 ways, more or less, that you can ask a question. You might just need a yes/no answer. Like, is something close by? Is there a pharmacy? You just want a yes or a no, right? You might have yes/no questions. You might need those question words, which we're going to look at. And there might be tags. And the tags are kind of a thing that you actually hear quite a lot. So yes/no questions. And some of this might be done just with your tone of voice.
Comes mucho.
That is a statement of fact. It's not a question yet. Comes mucho. You eat a lot, okay? It's a statement of fact. Comes mucho.
And if you heard, my intonation or the tone of my voice trailed off there. And that means
Okay.
You eat or you're eating.
you eat a lot.
It's not a question yet, okay?
I eat a lot. And if I wanted to change this to a question and say, do you eat a lot?
Change the tone of your voice, the inflection.
And that's a yes/no question because the answer when you come back is either yes or no. All I have to do is take that same statement. I am going to add an upside down question mark
Well, if you're
and a
writing, but
right
you won't.
side up question mark. But then instead of my intonation going down, my intonation will go up. Comes mucho? Now I'm going to over-enunciate in this video, but you'll figure out how much you have to say that. So let's look at the first one. Comes mucho. You could hear how that went down. Comes mucho. Comes mucho? Mucho? See how that goes up?
So some yes, no questions we may just ask by changing the intonation of our voice.
That turns
That's
that into a
common
question.
thing.
Do you eat a lot? And you would say, no. No como mucho.
No como mucho. No como mucho. I don't eat a lot. For the
So
answer.
step one, yes, no questions. All you do, put a question mark on it and make your intonation go up. Follow your same structure as if you were writing a sentence.
And notice in Spanish, with a yes/no question, where you're just, you know, your intonation goes up at the end. Notice it's just the conjugated verb. In English, we stick in the word do or does. Do you eat? Does he eat? That do or does doesn't even exist in Spanish. They don't need that word. They just need the verb. All right. So we in English need to add a do you eat or a does he eat, right? That do or does doesn't happen in Spanish, okay? Just the verb by itself does that whole job, okay?
Now, if we wanted to put our subject pronoun in here, and generally in Spanish, we avoid our subject pronouns. They're redundant. You would put that subject pronoun after the verb.
It would be
Comes
after.
tu mucho?
In a question, the subject will trail up. In a question, the verb will be somewhere near the front there. Either the very first word, or it might not be the first word once we start using interrogatives, but it'll be close to the front, okay? So whereas normally you might say, la chica come mucho. The girl eats a lot. La chica, who it is, come, what she does, mucho. Yeah, and we're telling how much. La chica come mucho. Subject, la chica, come, the verb, mucho, how much, right? But if you ask the question, come la chica mucho, or come mucho la chica, in a question, la chica is going to move way to the back. It's going to move way, way, way back. Come mucho, does she eat a lot? Come mucho la chica. In a question, the subject will move to the back if you use it. You may not, right? If it's a tu question, you won't even need that word tu, because the verb tells you everything.
I would just leave it out.
Yeah.
You don't need to say it. So the second way we have.
Here's another thing, and you'll hear people use this all the time. These are what we call tag questions. And yeah, use it when you're pretty sure
questions
you know what
is
the
to
answer is
use
going to be.
question tags. And we use these, and we have two examples down here of verdad and no. When you are pretty sure you know the answer to the question that you're asking, you can use these. So let's go back to that original example, and I said, comes mucho? That's a yes, no question. But if I was pretty sure, I could just say, you eat a lot. Right?
¿Verdad?
Comes mucho. ¿Verdad?
So, verdad literally means truth. Truth. Right? Comes mucho, ¿verdad? ¿Verdad? En verdad, it's going to go up. ¿Verdad? We might say in English, you eat a lot, don't you? Or you eat a lot, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we have tag questions too. These are their two tag questions, either verdad or no. No, and the voice goes up. ¿Verdad? No. You could also say, comes mucho, no? Okay. And no there doesn't really mean a negative thing. You know, usually no means somebody isn't doing something.
Mhm.
No como mucho. I don't eat a lot. But comes mucho, no? You eat a lot, don't you?
So in this one, again, it goes down like normal, and then, verdad, it goes up. And so that tag is just asking us to confirm the statement that we just had. We could use no also. So if I'm pretty sure that you speak Spanish, but you know, I want to confirm that. I could say, hablas español. No?
Mhm.
So you speak Spanish, right? Now I have the word no, which makes it look like no you don't, but it means yes you do, which
Yeah.
means
The
no you
no
don't,
there
but I
is
already
not
knew you do.
really
So
being
right,
negative.
yeah, get it? Okay, good. So first way, asking questions, yes, no, intonation goes up. Second way,
Yep.
using verdad or no at the end of a statement. A third way that we can ask questions is with interrogatives.
Okay, and I'm not going to play this. I'll let you listen to that on your own time. These are interrogatives, and you've got them in a list as well. Okay, and if we need more information, if we need a lot of information in our answer, if the answer does not consist of a simple yes or no, okay, then we need these various interrogative. When police bring somebody in for questioning, they interrogate them, right? So, or the military, they interrogate people. They ask them questions. These are question words, we might say, the who, what, when, where, why of life, okay? So I'm gonna let you, and they carry an accent mark, para que sepan, so you know. That doesn't matter when you're speaking. It matters in writing, but question words are an important thing. Again, I'm going to send you with some more videos for homework to watch that, but we're going to put some of these together. We're going to put some of these together now. We're going to get familiar with what they are, what they mean, and when we use an interrogative, that has to be the very first part of the question, and it'll bump that verb back just a little bit. Okay, so a qué hora? Literally, at what time? A qué hora comes? At what time do you eat? A qué hora? Literally, at what hour? A qué hora? We use the word time. They use the word hour. A qué hora? A qué hora? A qué hora comes? What time do you eat? A qué hora estudias? What time do you study? See,
Right.
a qué hora? A qué hora preparas la comida? What time do you fix food? Okay. See? Así, like that. Okay, bien. Here's our next word that you first had with ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo? Como. And you'll notice these all carry an accent mark when they're written down. You don't really hear it differently, but como, short answer to that, como with no accent mark can mean slightly different things at times, okay, or be used in different ways, but como, como, como. ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo llego a? How do I get to? ¿Cómo llego a? ¿Cómo te llamas? What's your name? Así, bien? We're going to skip the next one. We're going to go through ones that don't change in form first. ¿Cuándo?
How many?
When? ¿Cuándo is kind of like ¿a qué hora? ¿A qué hora? At what time? What's a pretty specific time, yeah? But ¿cuándo? Asks when, it's more general. Cuando could be a time on the watch, but cuando could be a day, a month. Yeah. Could be afternoon. Cuando estudias? Ah, estudio por la noche. I study at night. Cuando estudias? When do you study? Estudio por la noche. I study at night. Cuando, the interrogative, estudias, do you study? See? Okay. Vale. So that'll ask about time, right? This word will ask about a location. ¿Dónde?
Mhm.
¿Dónde? ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está?
Where?
¿Dónde might morph a little bit? Other things might get attached to ¿dónde? To change it up a little bit, right? ¿Dónde está? Where is something located? ¿Dónde queda? Where is something located? But if we're talking about using a verb of motion, estar is not movement. ¿Dónde está? Where is it? Yeah, wherever it is, location is fixed. Yeah. But if I ask, where are you going to? Going is a verb of motion. ¿A dónde vas? ¿A dónde? And we stick the a in front of dónde. The a that means to, meaning you're talking about a direction, becomes ¿a dónde? With the verb of motion, vas. ¿A dónde vas? ¿A dónde vas? Where are you going to? Okay. ¿A dónde vas? Or it might be from where. ¿De dónde es usted? Where are you from? ¿De dónde? From where, right? We can't take the from and stick it at the end of the sentence in Spanish. It has to come up in front. ¿De dónde? From where? ¿De dónde es usted? Where are you from? ¿De dónde es usted? Okay. Bien. Bien. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Asks for a lot of information. You probably won't know how to answer por qué questions very well right now. ¿Por qué? Because it's more complicated kind of answer. ¿Por qué estás aquí? Why are you here? ¿Por qué estás aquí? Why are you located here? Porque estoy en la clase, because I'm in class. Porque practico en la clase, because I'm practicing in class. ¿Sí? Porque necesito mi computadora, because I need my computer, right? Porque requires a kind of a complex answer. It could go off in a bunch of different directions. You know, where is a very specific kind of question word. When is a very specific, it asks about time, right? Donde asks about location. Cuando asks about a time limit of some kind. Here's a great word that we use all the time, a question word, ¿qué? What?
¿Qué?
See? ¿Qué? And a verb will follow it. ¿Qué haces? What are you doing? Hacer means to do. If I make it a tú form, haces, it says you do. ¿Qué haces? What are you doing? ¿Qué haces?
¿Qué haces?
And you would answer with whatever verb it is that you're doing. ¿Qué haces? Escucho la información. I'm listening to the information. Veo la pantalla de la computadora. I see. O miro, I watch, I'm looking at. Miro la pantalla, the screen. Miro la pantalla de la computadora. I'm looking at the screen. Okay. ¿Qué asks what? ¿Qué asks for definitions? ¿Qué asks for definitions? Like, por ejemplo, ¿qué es? What is? See? ¿Qué es esto? What is this? See? ¿Qué es esto? What is this? I'm asking for a definition, right? See? ¿Qué es esto? What is this? Okay.
Okay.
Ah. ¿Qué son estos? They're audífonos, plural. ¿Qué son? What are these?
What are they?
You could say ¿qué es? What is it? See. Okay. Bien. So, ¿qué asks what, as in it wants sort of a definition. Okay. And here is going to be one of our interrogatives that asks who. It asks for a person. ¿Quién? ¿Quién? And notice the QU, we don't pronounce the U, right? In que, QUE, what? It's just que. In this, we don't pronounce the U sound. It's ¿quién?
Yeah.
¿Quién? ¿Quién means who, but it's asking about this many who. One person. You're anticipating only one person is going to be talked about in the answer. There is a plural form for who, right? So quiénes is how we make quién plural. The plural form of quién is quiénes. Quiénes.
Yeah.
Who, more than one. Okay, I'll give you two examples of how you can use quién and how you can use quiénes. Bien. ¿Quién está en tu casa? I'm thinking there's probably only one other person at home with you right now. ¿Quién está en casa? Who's at home? Contigo, with you. ¿Quién está en casa? Contigo. Who's home with you? Right? If I think a bunch of people are home with you because all the kids are home from school, your other significant others home from work, I might slot that into a quiénes.
¿Quiénes?
But then I can't, and notice quién uses está.
Right.
Quién uses the same verb always as an él or an ella or an usted, because quién is this many people. Just one. ¿Quién está? Right? If I make it plural, you guys, it's got to use the same kind of verb as ellos, ellas, ustedes. ¿Quiénes están en casa contigo?
Están.
¿Quiénes están en casa? Who's at home? And I think there's more than one person at home with you. I can use it with other verbs, not está or están. ¿Quién es tu esposo? Or ¿quién es tu esposa? Who is your husband or who is your wife? Right? ¿Quiénes son tus amigos? Who are your friends? ¿Quiénes son tus amigos? ¿Quiénes son? Who are your friends? I can use it with some other verb. ¿Quién cocina en tu casa? Who cooks in your house? Right? See? Bien. So, we can combine these with all different kinds of verbs to ask for more information, right? ¿Quién does get a plural form? I'm going to show you some other ones that sometimes get a plural form. This word cuál might have a plural form, cuáles. Just like quién changes into quiénes, cuál might be expressed as cuáles. Cuál means literally which or what, whereas que asks, I'm going to give you a little thing here. Whereas que asks for a definition. ¿Qué es? Es un celular. It's a cell phone, right? ¿Cuál doesn't ask for a definition. ¿Cuál asks you to pick one or the other. Okay?
Okay.
Por ejemplo. I don't have two different kinds here. Oh. ¿Cuál es tuyo? Which one is yours? I'm asking you to pick out of two things. Okay? Bien. Por ejemplo, you're gonna buy a little souvenir for your kid. ¿Cuál quieres? Which one do you want? ¿Cuál quieres? I'm not asking what is this, ¿qué es? ¿Qué es? No, I'm asking you which one. Which little stuffed animal do you want? ¿Cuál quieres? ¿Cuál quieres? Okay? ¿Cuál quieres? Okay, and just know that it has a plural form. You don't need to really know how to use that one yet. Okay, and here is the last one, which is super, super important. Super importante. ¿Cuánto? How much? How much? And we might use it with ¿cuánto es? How much is it? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? Cuesta means it costs. ¿Cuánto cuesta? Bien. ¿Cuánto is how much? ¿Cuánto does get a little bit of a change when it morphs into the idea of not how much, but how many. Okay. ¿Cuántos? Or it sometimes might get a feminine form. ¿Cuántas? Means how many. Por ejemplo, ¿cuántas plumas? ¿Cuántas? Because they're feminine things. ¿Cuántas plumas necesitas? ¿Cuántas plumas necesitas? How many pens do you need? See? ¿Cuántos animales tienes? If you ask a kid how many stuffed animals they have, ¿cuántos animales tienes? Okay. ¿Cuántos animales? How many? How many? How many will be a plural, whereas ¿cuánto is just how much, right? ¿Cuánto dinero tienes? How much money do you have? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? Así, like that. Okay, bien. Let's take a look and I am going to exam take out. Let's see if we can figure out what these questions mean. Okay. Oh, pardon. Primero, first, you're going to get this whole list. This is a whole list of different question words that are important. We've got a couple of peripheral things here on the side, which are just kind of additional forms of that word donde, right? A donde from motion, de donde from origin, from where, right? So que, cuál, or the firm plural, cuáles, quién or quiénes, cómo, dónde, cuándo, a qué hora, cuánto, cuántos or cuántas, and por qué. Those are some of the most frequently used ones. There are little variations, you know. I'll give you one quick example. Quién might be expressed as de quién, of whom. Like I asked, de quién es la pluma? Whose pen is it? Of whose? De quién es la pluma? Okay, so there are little variations beyond that, but those are your real basics. Preguntas del desayuno. Breakfast questions. ¿Qué quiere decir? What does it mean? comes de desayuno?
Hmm.
¿Qué comes de desayuno? These are questions you might ask about breakfast. What does that question ask? ¿Qué comes? Let's look at just this part of it. The interrogative has to come first. ¿Qué comes? Comer is eat.
Eat.
Comes.
Yeah.
I'm asking. So, ¿qué comes
eat.
is what do you?
What do you eat?
What do you eat? And then we're
Mhm.
telling which meal for breakfast. De
Okay.
desayuno.
Mhm.
¿Qué comes? So that's asking, what do you eat? And notice in English, we need this little do thing. But do doesn't tell you anything about that action. It's just this word we need in English to ask that question. This do will not appear in the question. They don't need the word do. Here's the only verb they need, comes. I'm asking you about yourself. ¿Qué comes de desayuno? Okay. Bien. ¿Cocinas para el desayuno? It's a yes, no question. ¿Cocinas para el desayuno? What am I asking?
Do you have breakfast in the kitchen, or
Do you, cocinar is to cook.
Oh, do you cook?
do you
Do
cook?
you cook?
No.
Do you cook for breakfast? See?
Okay.
O no cocinas, or no cocinas, or don't you cook? Okay.
No.
We're going to use an interrogative. ¿Qué bebes por la mañana? ¿Qué bebes? What am I asking?
What do you drink?
Yeah. What
What do you
so
drink for breakfast?
What do you drink in the morning? Yeah, for breakfast, you're right.
morning.
But we expressed it as in the morning. But is that talking about breakfast? Sure. What do you eat in the morning? Okay, bien. Vale. ¿Qué echas en la bebida? Echas means you throw in. What do you add in? ¿Sí? ¿Qué echas en la bebida? Azúcar, leche, crema. But echas, you know I'm asking tú, because it ends in an S.
What do you
And
put in your
it's an
coffee?
AR verb. Echar literally is throw in, but it would be like saying, what do you put in your drink?
In your drink.
Okay.
You add into your drink. Azúcar,
Sugar,
sugar, leche,
milk,
Milk,
crema,
cream.
cream.
Okay. Here's another question. ¿Qué no comes? Nunca. Nunca is never.
Yeah, in the morning. Okay.
¿Qué no comes nunca de desayuno? What do you
Eat.
never
Don't-
eat
Never eat breakfast.
for breakfast?
Or what
Mhm.
don't you ever eat for breakfast?
What do you never eat for breakfast?
Oh,
¿Qué no comes nunca? What do you never eat for breakfast? Si desayunas en un restaurante, if you eat breakfast at a restaurant, ¿a dónde vas? ¿A dónde vas?
Where
Where do you
eat?
where do you go?
Where do you
go? Where do you
Yeah.
go? ¿A dónde vas? Where do you
Okay.
go? And we're going to have one more interrogative, and I'm going to tie a little homework thing into this. ¿Cuánto cuesta comer? How much does
How much?
it
Cost to eat
comer?
in a
El
restaurant.
desayuno,
breakfast at the
breakfast
restaurant.
Breakfast
at a
in
restaurant. Bien. Okay.
Okay.
So we know what those questions mean now. You see how we formed the questions.
Mhm.
Okay. For homework right now. I'm going to want you to focus on, I'm going to want you to go in. I'm going to send you this whole thing. I'm going to think about, I want you to think about, how might I answer that question?
Okay.
All those questions, with the exception of one, the very last one, they're all tu questions, tu. So when you answer them, you answer it for yo.
Yo.
Yeah, yeah.
All these questions get yo answers. I want you to think about, how would I answer each one of these questions?
Okay.
And you're going to keep it really super simple. Okay. What do you eat? Do you cook? That's a yes, no answer. What do you drink? What do you throw in that drink? What do you put in? And the answer might be nothing, nada, right?
Mhm.
Some of you are good doobies. I'm not. What do you not eat at all? Ever for
Okay.
breakfast, right? Where do you go? You have to tell me, I go to a place, right? And how much does it cost? And if it costs, I can't answer for Joel in this one. I'm talking about the item. So this verb cuesta will stay the same when you answer,
Mhm.
right? Because I don't cost anything, and neither do you. It a cup of Joe costs something. It costs. So that cuesta, that one verb will stay the same when you answer. But you're going to want an amount. How many dollars? Right? More or less. These are all very general. Okay. So I'm going to want to see if you can answer those questions really briefly. I'm going to want you to listen to more directional videos. Lots and lots and lots of listening. Okay. We're going to talk about putting together more of these verbs with questions next week. And I'm going to want you to preview. Momentito. We're going to talk about one very limited thing, which is going to be a different kind of verb. And it's going to be how to say somebody likes something. And it's going to be just a segment of a chapter in the book. It's going to be a segment of lesson 10, but not absolutely all of lesson 10, because that'll be too much. Okay. Segment of lesson 10, how to say I like. And I'm going to send you a lot of videos for that, because I like isn't going to do what you think it's going to do. And it's going to be for this reason. A lot of times we talk about what we like to do. It's something we need to talk about. But sadly, there is no verb whatsoever in Spanish that means to like. That verb doesn't exist. To like as a verb doesn't really exist. We translate ideas they say as to like, but it's not strictly speaking what it says. In Spanish, what you're going to wind up saying is something is pleasing to me. Now that sounds pretty darn weird in English, but it's the way they express it, okay? Because they don't have a verb that means to like. That means that nobody does that action of like. A thing is pleasing to me, or certain things, more than one of them, they are pleasing to me. Okay. And I'm going to give you a couple of videos that will talk about that, because they will do it much better than the book will do it. But I'll tell you where in the book to look at that. And I think I probably won't even have you maybe not read all that much, because I think they just have like a little chart, and it isn't really as helpful as I would like. So I'm going to send you off with some videos to show you how we express that idea of like. Okay, bien? Todo bien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bien, bien, fantástico. Okay, eso es todo. That is it. Nos quedan 2 clases más. We got 2 more classes after today left, creo, I think. ¿Tengo razón? Sí, okay. Yeah, we got 2 more classes. If you're going to take any other classes with Scottsdale, their registration started yesterday. So yeah. If you want to take more Spanish, you would be looking at the Monday class, which is called Spanish for Beginners Step 2. And Step 2 has people of all different abilities. Some people who are pretty kind of getting polished and some who are not. And we just do very easy practice and a lot of repetition because not everybody in there is, you know, like super expert level either. So, okay, bien? ¿Todo bien,
Bien.
para hoy? Everything good for today? Bien?
Sí.
Okay, maravilloso. Great. And we'll come back. We're going to do more questions. We'll look at how to answer these and we'll talk a little bit about the whole like thing. Okay.